You were saying you're seeing an increase
Oh, yes.
in the younger generation as well. So what is happening there to create this increase?
Interesting question. Now, in terms of the hearing loss, if we do see clients that do, that are coming younger, a lot of times, there was a good maybe 15, 20 years ago, where we had a lot of people wearing headphones, kind of similar to the ear pods, but there you go. Yeah. And essentially nowadays it's a lot better. You'll notice on your iPhone, you have regulations. They'll let you know when you're listening to noise too loud or for too long. But there was a nice period where that just wasn't around. So people, were nonchalantly really putting a lot of loud music into their ears. And, something like this with hearing loss, it's very, very slow. It's very gradual. And so, very rarely do we see a huge sudden drop in hearing, but years and years or days and days of listening, and we start to see the hearing loss start to creep up. Tinnitus, however, which is the ringing in the ears, we see that a lot more in we do see quite a bit of people in their 20s and 30s that do have it. And the thing with tinnitus is, yes, there's a huge contribution as a result of hearing loss. But there's just as many people with tinnitus that don't have hearing loss, according to the data. So there's and it can be from a wide variety of factors. But a big one is stress. Stress is a huge, huge contributor to tinnitus. It can make it much worse. If you have a little bit of it, it can bring it up to from a 1 out of 10 to a 5, 6 out of 10. And a lot of times when we look at these clients, we have to look at it from a very holistic perspective, taking a look at everything that they're doing, seeing what might be contributing and what not. But it is something that is very common. So if you are somebody who does have ringing in the ears, be just to note that, for a lot of things, it's usually something that we can explain or we can kind of get an idea on why it's happening, and it's very manageable.
That brings me to a segue question here in looking at what you just mentioned. So Alan, with that many people at 40% with some sort of hearing loss, and it starts, as you mentioned, could be from a young age moving forward, what is the best way to be able to see that someone has a hearing loss? How do you identify someone, or how does the person who has some difficulty hearing know that they have a hearing loss? What are some of the signs that people should look for?
Yes, that's actually very important. I think that for most of us, our immediate assumption is that, if I'm hearing a difference in volume, oh, well, this ear sounds a little bit less than the other, or, if I put my fingers in my ears, take them out, doesn't, I notice a big difference. These are kind of, more of the, natural intuitive ways that we would try to speculate whether or not we have a hearing loss. However, most hearing loss is in the high pitches. And just kind of the way that it all works, the low pitches, the bass, that's what conveys a lot of the volume. So if you have a hearing loss in those low pitches, you're going to notice a volume drop for sure. But most hearing loss is in the high pitches. It's the very high frequencies. We kind of see it tapers off. And that's just kind of the area of the cochlea, the hearing organ that gets a lot of the wear and tear from noise exposure, is the high frequency region. And so how that kind of presents is not so much a volume difference, but what you will notice is when you are in noise, suddenly one person in quiet in a room, one-on-one, no issues. The minute we throw in another speaker, the minute there's a little bit of background noise, we add a little bit of complexity to the auditory scene, and suddenly it's almost like everybody's speaking mumbled. Things aren't clear. You have to ask people to repeat. So that is the number one hallmark symptom of hearing loss. It's difficulty in noise. And a lot of people, kind of just say, oh, well, maybe it's just me getting older. But a lot of the times they come to me, they don't realize they have a hearing loss, and we discover it. And, it's actually that clarity that tends to go before the volume. So I think, if you have any concerns in noise, or if you're feeling that sometimes, the minute that things get a little bit more complicated in the auditory environment and you're starting to run into issues, probably a good idea just to take a look and see where you are.